Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay. I hope you are all doing well. All right, so in continuing with our new and improved, now that Jay is no longer at death's door, feeling crappy, with the sort of new, expanded format of the show, right? With a little bit of everything. So far today, we've had a reaction video to the second of the Dungeons and Dragons trailers. Um, we also had a video regarding new Elder Scrolls content that's going to be coming out beginning shortly, but throughout the year for those of you who are into Elder Scrolls. And now, where we always end up and come back to, right? As we should, um, Tolkien. So this article was sent to me by none other than our very own Macaru112. Sent it to me and said, "Hey, you might find this interesting. You should check it out." So I decided to do that, and he was right. I found it interesting. So let's see what it is. It's a little bit of an older article, but this is the first time I'm hearing of this, so it's kind of interesting. Let me just adjust that a little bit. All right, we'll keep it right there. All right. So it says, question: was Christopher Tolkien truly willing to sell the Silmarillion to EA and write new stories set in Middle Earth? Okay, it was originally published in December of 2020, but it was updated on September 27th of 2021, right? So let's see what they have to say. By the way, this is coming to us from thetolkienist.com. Okay, so again, question: was Christopher Tolkien truly willing to sell the Silmarillion to EA and write new stories set in Middle Earth? Yesterday, an interview was published with TheGamer.com written by Kian Mayer that supposedly drops a bomb in Tolkien fandom that beggars belief. According to executive producer Steve Gray, when EA revealed The Lord of the Rings: The White Council in 2006 as an upcoming project, EA Redwood Shores EA Redwood Shores, as the producing studio, had the full support of Christopher Tolkien while considering including J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion. And that's a quote. Okay. Um, it sounds like a horror story or fairy tale, depending on your preference. But Steve Gray clearly states this in the interview with Mayer. Quote, EA Redwood Shores was considering including J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion in its source material for the game, and Christopher Tolkien was on board to back it up, unquote. The press release for said game, which never materialized for a number of reasons, the loss of the license certainly the most decisive one, does not include any such hint. But that is not all. Director Chris Tremel makes an even wilder claim. Quote, this is because Peter Jackson also collaborated with Christopher Tolkien for his most recent Middle-earth trilogy, showcasing the kind of creative liberty that arises from blending original fiction with Tolkien's external notes, unquote. Mayer concludes from the comments by Gray and Tremel. Quote, let's remember that this was supposed to be an MMORPG, with the Silmarillion and the Lord of the Rings vast appendices at the studio's disposal. The White Council was en route to shaping up as a bona fide Silmarillion mythopedia game, or mythopia game. Sorry. That is not even the most outrageous of claims. Quote, by the time we got to the Third Age game, we were collaborating with Tolkien on new characters and new fiction within the world and time of the War of the Ring, unquote. According to this, Christopher Tolkien was writing new characters and new fiction set in the worlds of his father. I am at a loss for words. There has been no indication whatsoever since 1977, when The Silmarillion was first published, that Christopher Tolkien, as literary executor to his father's legacy, would be willing to sell rights to this book. In a rare interview given to Le Monde in 2012, he made abundantly clear that he considered the film franchise and its success the reason that, quote, Tolkien had become a monster devoured by its own popularity, unquote. CJRT would have been well over 80 at the time, and the thought that an MMO based on the film franchise would be linked to the Silmarillion is outrageous. There and Back Again, A History of the Lord of the Rings in Video Games, also quotes CJRT, thinking his father's works, quote, unsuitable for transformation into visual dramatic form, unquote. I do not know why these two then EA employees are making these claims. I could think of a reason or two, but we will have to see and wait. Obviously, for now, but unless I see written proof of this collaboration seems impossible. Gray was fired in 2007, according to this piece of news, and the game canceled without further explanation. While trying to find more information about this, I went through the blog posts linked above from Polygon, and they also state in 2014, quote, in 2006, EA obtained the rights to Tolkien's books just in time for development on The Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth 2, which launched that same year, and an open-world RPG called The Lord of the Rings, The White Council. Sources told Polygon that this literary package included the rights to a piece of the Tolkien lore that today is barred from use by anyone, the Silmarillion. To be quite honest, I trust Peter Jackson more in this than anyone else. Quote, the Silmarillion's really simple, Jackson said. J.R.R. Tolkien said the film rights to The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings sold the film rights to The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings in the 1960s. The Silmarillion wasn't written yet. It wasn't even written in his lifetime. It was written by him, and partly his son finished it after his death and published it after the professor had died. So the film rights are with them, and the estate doesn't have any interest in discussing film rights with anybody. So that's the situation there. They're not as untangled as The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. When EA released the news on The Lord of the Rings, The White Council in July 2006, not a single interview or other press contact mentioned the Silmarillion IP. Right now, I am not sure what to make of this. All right, so I don't know. I mean, I don't want to believe it. Like, I'll go on record and say I don't want to believe it, but that doesn't mean that it's not true. I'm gonna have to cautiously say, like I always do, show me the receipts. Show me the receipts that there was some contract that was signed or some license agreement that was signed, because they would have to be, right? There would have to be like legal documentation involved. And then, yeah, now, do I think it's possible? I mean, Christopher Tolkien sort of made it known that, this was a non-starter, but I'm wondering. I mean, I think there could be a grain of truth in there. I don't think these guys would go out and publicly be saying this stuff if there wasn't at least some grain of truth in there or some kernel of truth in there. But I don't think it's as cut and dry as they make it seem to be. Like, oh, yeah, no, we just had the rights to the Silmarillion, and Christopher Tolkien was just going to write new characters and storylines for us to use in the Third Age. I don't think it was probably as cut and dry as that. They may have had the rights to use certain elements from the Silmarillion. And that's sort of what my gut is telling me, but I could be totally wrong. I mean, they could be totally on point, and this could all be true. I don't want to believe it. I would like to believe that the Silmarillion has always been sort of off limits to any sort of, adaptation. But, I mean, we could see with the Rings of Power, they didn't have the rights to the Silmarillion, and we could see what that caused, right? That caused them to say, oh, we'll just take a single sentence out of the appendices, and then we'll just rewrite the entire lore based off of that. So, I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing Christopher Tolkien agreeing to what they're saying was the deal. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Silmarillion was included as part of a licensing deal, but luckily nothing ever came of it. And so we don't have to worry about it because obviously the Silmarillion reverted back to Christopher and the Tolkien estate, who have been adamant that it's not even up for negotiations. And let's hope they keep it that way. Well, again, now you get into the territory of, well, I would love to see an adaptation of the Silmarillion if it was done correctly, right? If it was done by somebody who we could trust to do it justice, right? Like Peter Jackson, you know. In the current state of Hollywood, Tolkien estate, just keep it off the table for now. That's just my take. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Again, it's an old article, and the game never came out. The game was never realized. But what do you think? Do you think it was possible that at one point we could have seen an adaptation of the Silmarillion, at least if not in a film, in a video game? Do you think that Christopher Tolkien or the Tolkien estate would have included that as part of a package deal or something like that? Or do you think highly unlikely? Maybe this is some oversimplified interpretation of what the real agreement was. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Yeah. So anyway, thank you to Macaru112 for sending me that article. It was interesting. I hadn't heard about that before. This is the first I was hearing about it when I was checking out the article. So interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Thanks, Mac. All right, guys. The live stream will be Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. That is 6 p.m. Eastern time. So wherever you are, just whatever time it is where you are, figure out the time difference so that you'll know when 6 p.m. Eastern is, and then I will hopefully see you there. We had a more lively live stream this past Saturday than we did for the first one, which is great. More people were involved. I actually wound up hooking up a third monitor simply so that I could have your chats up on my third monitor, because while we were looking at videos and stuff like that, I could follow the conversation that was going on in the chat as well. So if you saw me looking up, that's what it was. But yeah, I look forward to that, to see, talking with you guys and hanging out on Saturday, 6 p.m. And yeah, again, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you like the video, like the video. If you feel like sharing the video, by all means do so, because it gets it out there, it gets it seen, it gets it exposed, and we can build this army of beautiful badasses. If you have not subscribed, I would hope that today you would consider giving the channel your subscription or sharing your subscription with the channel. It would mean the world to me, and it would help us grow this army of beautiful badasses. And if you are a returning subscriber, thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. I know this is the third video for today, and I know it's been a couple of days since I put anything out. And again, I apologize. Sometimes real life just gets in the way and throws all of your plans right out the frickin' window, and it doesn't even ask your permission. And yeah, for the past couple of days, real life was treating me like I was the whipping boy. I don't know. I could use a lot of colorful words, but I just won't. But anyway, I'm glad to be back in the swing of things, and let's pick up the momentum, and we will make it happen, and we will get this train rolling again. All right, guys, I'll talk to you on the next one. Remember, be good, be safe, be awesome. Peace.